Welcome back to the channel. It's going to save you thousands of dollars and give you a whole lot of knowledge. And if you like saving money, go ahead and subscribe for me. So today we're going to be talking about shaking brakes, shaking, vibrating, and pulling. If you have any of those issues on any kind of truck, international, Freightliner, Volvo, this is what you want to check out. So right there, I'm not playing with toys. I'm adjusting the brakes, tightening down the slack adjuster, making the brakes touch the drums with slight drag on them so we could test the drum and see how out of adjustment they are. So right here, we want very minimal drag on the tire. This is what's going to tell us if there is an issue with the drum, brakes, or hub. If you haven't guessed it, yeah, you need to jack up that axle. Alright, so watch along as we spin the tire. You can see that some portions are freer than others, and then it tends to get stuck. So realistically, you got two issues that are going to cause that. An out of round drum and a messed up hub. So I know it's going to be hard to see right here, but if you look closely, the tire is not sitting perfectly on the hub itself. There's a slight gap around those little spacers right there, those little sitting areas. I know it's kind of hard to see, but it's right there. So when we take this off, I'll give you a closer look. All right, first things first, in order to take that drum off, we're gonna need to back off the slack adjuster. That way you can spin freely. And because I took out all the audio, I'm gonna go ahead and make the noise for you. Keep in mind, it's not always that easy to take off. Sometimes you gotta beat it with a hammer, show it who's boss, you know? All right, take a close look at what we're looking at right here. There is a little step on these placement seats right here, and some of them have been ground off. That usually happens when someone puts on the tire and doesn't line it up correctly. If it's not sitting right, it's gonna pinch these and grind them off. Remember, it's just aluminum. It's gonna break easy. And if you look at that, and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. It is messed up. So there is a fix for it. And the fix, you ready for it? Yeah, you're gonna buy a new hub. It's gonna be a little pricey, but don't go cheap. You might as well get a brand new one. Get it complete with the races, new bearings, everything. Because at this point, there's no point in reusing the old stuff. And if you see my other videos, you already know how to replace these brakes. They're not that bad. And if you haven't, you need to go back and watch them. So there it is, the brand new hub, complete with everything you're gonna need. Looking good, right? Those are those little steps I was talking about. As you can see, these ones are in great condition, and that's what you're gonna need. Oh, you wanted a part number? Here you go. Don't worry, this one's free. So as for this hub oiler right here, take out the bolts, give it a little hammer love. Don't worry, I won't tell anybody. So depending on which application you have, what kind of truck you have, all these nuts will be a little different. This one uses a little cotter pin method. Like I said, all of them are different. So, just depending on what you have. Even the new one that we're going to be putting on there has a different style of nut, which is perfectly fine, as long as we follow the manufacturer's specifications on torquing that sucker down. So now that we got the nut off there, we got that bearing out of there, now I like to go on the backside and just kind of push on that seal. Not on the toe ring, on the seal itself. That way everything comes out together. Watch and learn. Now here's a chance to really show off. Clean that spindle, clean all around it, make it shine like never before. Make sure there's no grooves, no scratches, no cuts or anything. Alright, get some emery cloth and go around it. We're gonna get rid of all that little rust. So since this is already built, we're gonna go ahead and take it apart now. Go ahead and get that retainer clip out of there. Then we're gonna go ahead and back off that nut. Take out that bearing, and then take out that preset spacer right there. Now, very important, we want to make sure that outer bearing gets lubed. So we're going to go ahead and get some oil on it and go ahead and spin that bearing with that seal still in place. You know what, while you're at it, go ahead and oil up that spindle too. Now it's time to lube up the other bearing. Clean oil, hub oil. Now line that hub up straight on that spindle. And then all you gotta do, get some muscle, push that sucker back, and you're good. Now using that 7590, go ahead and fill up that little bore area right there where the preset spacer covers. So now if you look at that ring closely, you'll see it is notched, so it's only going to go on one way. You can't screw this up. Feel better about yourself now. So, while you guys are watching, you can probably guess what's going to happen next. Yeah, we're going to have to torque that sucker down. Alright, so the main complaint of this truck was vibrating brakes. Every time he stepped on the brakes, he was vibrating really hard and pulling to one side. It just so happened to be the driver's side. So that's the area I focused on. But either way, you want to look at both sides. Make sure that there's not an issue on both sides of the truck. Sometimes that vibrating is going to be chattering, and sometimes it's going to be like a heavy clinking going on. But this is something you definitely want to check out. It could be a couple other things, but this is something that is very common on all the brands across the board. So while we torque this down, we're going to go ahead and spin the hub at the same time. Depending on what nut setup you have, it could be a different torque spec, and there could be a different torque sequence to get that sucker secured on there. Once you got that torqued on there, go ahead and get that ABS sensor and push it towards the tone ring. Make sure it's touching. It'll back itself off accordingly. Go ahead and get that clip back in place in an open port, and it goes around the little slats that are in there. Then we're going to get the retainer ring put back in there. Now this is your opportunity to prove that you are good with your fingers. You're going to want to make sure this hub oiler is clean, because you're going to put clean oil in there. It just makes sense. You don't want anything that has been contaminated, maybe a little milky in there, a little messed up. Make sure you install it with a new gasket as well. So right here, we're showing you the halfway point of where it needs to be filled. It does not need to be full, and it cannot be too empty. You're going to run it hot and dry. So it needs to be filled halfway between that sight glass. Now doing this brake method seems to be the easiest and quickest. I mean, look at this. It's almost done already. Did you blink yet? I mean, I'm doing these brakes quicker than it would take me to drink a beer. So everyone is always asking about this clip. Which way does it go? There's a lot of speculation. Well, there's only one right answer, and that's what I'm about to give you right now. it goes with the clips facing, the claw facing towards the front of the vehicle. Exactly like this. If you're doing it like this, then you're damn well doing it right. And you got nothing to worry about. If you point it the other way, well then you're possibly going to rub on the hub and you're going to cause a big old groove in there. And you might get it caught up on those brakes. When that happens, come see me. I'll get you taken care of. Alright, so pay attention to this. When installing the drum, that one little tab should be facing the 12 o'clock position. Not many people know this, and not many people do this, but that is the right procedure. If you go ahead and start doing this now, you're going to feel a whole lot smarter. And I forgot to mention, if you do this just the way I'm showing you, you might as well subscribe to these videos, because you know I need you guys. Alright, just to go another step further, I like to make sure it is a perfect circle going on in each stud. I don't want it leaning to one side over the other. Now, if you have the automatic liners that go over the rim when you're installing it, well then you don't even need to do that because it'll just set it up for you. In this case, this one doesn't have it, and you could probably buy those aftermarket. Not a big deal though. Alright, let's take a look and see what we got. So we are very close. We are perfectly lined up, aren't we? That is looking good. That's exactly where we want. So when we bolt it down, it is going to be sucked in and it's going to be great. And it's not crushing it like it was before. So I know it's really hard to see, but if you go out in your vehicle and you take a look at your steer axle, you could probably see exactly what I'm talking about. And you may even have the same problem and not even notice it yet. Alright, so now we're going to adjust the brakes and go through the same test and make sure there's no other issues. Because if there is an issue, then we know the drum is also bad. That drum is warped and needs to be replaced. If it's good, then it's good. Adjust the brakes, put it back down, and send it on the road to go make some money. What I'm not going to do is waste this guy's money and just tell him he needs a drum right off the bat. I'm going to find out for sure. If it does, well then, he'll know for sure and we're good to go. I'll get his blessing. So I hope you guys learned something from this method. It's a very useful one to use and will easily give you the answer. So thanks for watching and stay safe out there. You guys have a great one. Hint, hint, subscribe.